So, on the heels of the killing of Alex Pretty, you have the DHS that came out and released a statement, and their statement was something similar to the statement that they released with Renee, which is essentially vilifying the person who was murdered, essentially. And what we end up getting from there is a wave, a triumphant chorus, if you will, of the rightist wing politicians who come out to disagree with the DHS assessment of what's going on. And then as recently as yesterday or the day before, you have President Trump, who's currently taking a turn on his stance on the situations that are happening in Minnesota. But I'm here because, as you guys know, I love to tell you, I told you so. That's why I'm here. So all of a sudden, President Trump is like, well, I'm going to go ahead and change my stance. His story gets a little bit different. And now he's calling people and trying to hold a deal. And, oh, this conversation is great, X, Y, and Z. Suddenly, you have my guy who's been running ICE and also responsible for his people killing folks, who's suddenly been demoted. He's been demoted and he's going to be sent back to Texas, I believe it is. DHS says that they think he's going to be retiring soon. Who does he bring in? Tom Home. Tom Home is on his way to Minnesota, and he's going to be taking over operations there for the time being. Right? Not only that, you have the NRA. The NRA came out, and the NRA is like, well, now hold on. Let's not get out of hand about the way that we're characterizing guns in this whole situation. And why is all of this important? Why is this sudden turn of opinion by the Trump administration? The reason why Tori's going to come and say, I told you so. I told you so because I told you this one was not going to be supported by Trump because of politics. Hear me out. Picture it. May 25th, 2020. Presidential elections is happening in November. What happens May 25th, 2020 in Minneapolis? Yes, the same Minneapolis, Minnesota, where Alex Pretty was just murdered not too long ago. George Floyd. Another murder. Senseless. Law enforcement. White people traumatized. Is that not the same thing that just got it from happening with Alex? You see, the issue with Alex, which is the same issue with George Floyd, is the fact that they weren't armed and dangerous. And there was a video recording. And the murder, to everyone's eyes, is senseless. And now there's white outrage. But not only is there white outrage, there's also an election coming up. You see, Donald Trump didn't win the November 2020 election. And what's going on this year? Oh, this year we have midterms. Another election year. And there's another senseless murder with the video being plastered all over televisions on replay and different angles. And suddenly you have the president who gets a call from Lindsey Graham and says, we have to change the narrative because it keeps playing on the television. We have to change the narrative because it's going to be bad for us politically. So what does Trump say about this particular killing? He says, we're doing an investigation. Oh, are you now? Now, what's the difference between this one and what happened with Miss Renee? The difference is the fact that the defense for Miss Renee is she was in a vehicle. The vehicle was headed towards the officer. Therefore, his life was in danger. Do you know that for Alex Pretty, very similar to George Floyd, there is no such uncertainty of whether or not your life was in danger as to why you took a life. And I told you that for politics' sake, this wasn't going to work. Not only is it not going to work because of the American people, but it's also not going to work because this administration, DHS, those comments that they made about the gun, it effectively threw the NRA under the bus. And you may say, Tori, what does the NRA have to do with anything? Well, they're the major contributor to all elections to Republicans. They got that money. So the moment that y'all decided that y'all was going to throw a gun, being the main issue, and the NRA said, well, no, hold on, wait. Then you also had everyone in the Senate and every single seat inside of the House of Representatives that's up for re-election that is now concerned about if they're going to be able to finance their re-election campaign. I told you so. I told you so. Now, the thing about committing murder and stuff like that is that there is no statute of limitations. So whenever that person ends up going to jail and getting prosecuted and stuff like that, that doesn't really make no never mind to me. I'd rather him get prosecuted after this administration anyway. We need to go ahead and take that pardon off the table. And the only way you can be pardoned is for homeboy to be prosecuted. So I understand if we don't do that. But I came to tell you, I told you so. And I meant every word. Why? Because we've seen this before. And Trump doesn't want the same nightmare that he had November 2020 in November 2026.